Yo, J Dubs, what's up? First, you first, bruh. And I was definitely watching that chat from the PlayStation podcast uh on on Twitter. And I'm definitely with you on how you feel this thing is going to play out and why things played out the way it did. But let me go ahead and get into my intro first. Yo, what's good? It's your boy Lincoln Clay coming back at you with another podcast. You know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the bell icon. The rest will take care of itself. If you're a new subscriber, welcome to the channel. I hope you are enjoying the content. And I don't plan on being on here very long. I've got shit to do, and I haven't gotten the thing done yet today. So gotta get some cardio in. Gotta do this, do that. Whoa. So I'll pretty much get right to it. First topic up is Coon, what is up? Five Nights at Freddy's is coming to PlayStation VR. I learned of this last night when I was listening to Fata Mephisto's stream. Shout out to him. And someone in the comment, I don't remember who it was, someone in the comment said that Five Nights at Freddy's is coming to PlayStation VR. So I Googled it to try to, follow up on it. And I found a site. Let's see what this site is called, because stuff like that, you got to have receipts. Shit. It was a German website. I think it was German, and but I was able, there was a link there for me to convert it to English, and yes, it is confirmed. Five Nights at Freddy's is coming to both, I believe, both the Xbox, the PS4, and the PlayStation VR. So the site is called Playfront, and it looks to be in German, but again, I was able to convert it. And the headline says Five Nights at Freddy's announced for PS4 and PSVR. And it says the popular Five Nights at Freddy's series finds its way onto the PS4, the Xbox One, as hinted 2 years ago. All core games are therefore HD ported, as well as a VR offshoot is planned. So with Five Nights at Freddy's, I guess the whole series is coming to PS4 and Xbox One, not just one game. So this, this is huge for me because my son is a huge Five Nights at Freddy's fan, and I've been looking for that one game, for me and my son to connect on PlayStation VR. You know what? I stopped and thought about that, Lunkin. Now that you just mentioned it, I thought I'm hoping that my son will be excited about it. And from a computer screen, he thinks the jump scares are cool, but he don't seem to resonate well with it on the VR. So I don't know. Maybe he won't play it, but I'll get it. I'll take a look at it, and then maybe if he sees that I'm not scared of it, maybe he'll give it a shot. But yeah, I've told this story before about how I bought a PlayStation VR. Bought it day one, and it was for Christmas for my son. He played it he played it Christmas Day all day. I think he stayed with me with like virtually the whole weekend or whatever. He took it home, and it wasn't getting played at home, so I had him bring it back here. And then once it got back here, it was sitting around for a while, and I damn near sold it. But I decided to go ahead and tough it out and give it some time because I knew that the PlayStation VR was in its infancy, and it was going to need time to to come up with some games. So I toughed it out, and now I'm enjoying the fruits of that patience. There's a ton of games on the PlayStation VR. You guys heard me say that before. I have a ton of VR games, and I'm really enjoying it. I just picked up Spark yesterday, which looks like like a handball, racquetball type game, and it's got a space age look to it, and it's pretty neat how you can spectate. You've got this little bitty box. Saris is great. What is up? You got this little bitty box in front of you that the combatants or the players are in, and then you watch it from the outside. Once you get inside that arena and you look out that window and you see like these 50-foot figures looking inside. So it's pretty cool. But I did leave a message to my son on the Xbox that Five Nights at Freddy's is coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PlayStation VR. The whole series, not just one game. So it has been confirmed. So I do got receipts. So I definitely wanted to make sure of that before I pass that news on, because I'm hoping that news will be huge to my son. So I will say that I do not plan on being on very long. Everybody knows what the hot news is right now. That it was what's the game called? Spark. It's spelled Spark with a C. It's SPARC, and it's like a racquetball. It's like a racquetball tennis type game. It is cross-play with Oculus and Vive, so you can play with those players too. So you'll always find a game. And it's good. It's good for cardio. It's good for hand-eye coordination too. So until I've been in contact with Servios, those are the developers of the Creed Rise of the Glory game, and they came out with a patch last week, and it just fucked the game up. Virtually nobody's been able to play a quick match. At first, I thought the problem was just isolated to me. And then I talked to people in the communities. I'm part of two Creed communities, one on Facebook and one on the PlayStation. And people in both of those communities are having the same problem. So I took it upon myself to contact Servios and tell them what was going on. So they've been in contact. I've been in contact with them back and forth, sending emails for about the past week, because they want to make sure they got the details straight on exactly what is going on. So the last time I heard back from Servios was a couple of days ago. They told me that the developers are testing a patch right now that fixes the quick match issues, and they'll let me know when they're ready to release it and give me a date. So that's pretty cool. So I do know that a patch is on the way. Not only that, they're going to add 2 more characters to the game as well. I guess Danny Wheeler, which is one of the guys that Adonis Creed fought in the movie, as well as Victor Drago, who is the son of Ivan Drago. As everybody knows, Ivan Drago killed, Adonis's father, Apollo, in the ring. So those 2 characters will be added to Creed. What I'm hoping for is but as far as the update goes to fix this quick match issue, I'm hoping they get that patch out as soon as possible, because I don't want to wait until the DLC comes out and then they try to roll it all out in one update. I want it now, because I want to get back to playing Creed. I want to get back to playing live competition, and I want to get back to doing my cardio, because Spark is cool, but I burn up way more calories playing Creed. So right now, because I want to play live competition, and that's the whole fun of this whole thing, is be able to get your cardio in and burn some calories, and do it against live competition. And if it happens to be some trash talking involved, hey, that's a bonus too. So they got to get this shit fixed more sooner than later. In the meantime, Spark is what's going to get me by. As far as the Five Nights at Freddy's, I do not, they did not announce a date. All I know is that it's coming in 2019. That's pretty much all the article said. So I guess we'll know more when they decide to tell us more. So that pretty much covers that part. So let's get to the big news. And that is, everybody knows by now that Sony is not going to be at E3 next year. You said XO18 killed PS4 E3 2019. Shit, if I'm Sony, to tell you the truth, after what Microsoft just showed at XO, I'd be embarrassed to be under the same roof with them and call myself competing against them. I wouldn't even show up. So everybody is pretty much talking about E3 right now with this breaking news. Everybody's talking about it. Sick is live. One Stop for Gamers is live. You said XO was straight fire. Come on now, stop it, Lunkin. Come on, man. Don't do that. Come on, man. Don't do that. Even the Xbox staff who put that thing together knew it was garbage. Otherwise, they wouldn't have had to pay that crowd to say Sea of Thieves, because it was caught on camera, or the director, signaling to the crowd when to start cheering. So come on now. What kind of show you putting on when you got to pay people to get hype? So again, sick humor. One stop for gamers. They're talking about it right now. I was flipping back and forth between their podcasts. The news broke while I was listening to Porter Rock's podcast, because he had a podcast, because I guess some Xbots are trying to get his channel shut down, which is, I think, is pathetic. What's been going on with the Xbox lately, trying to get, getting J-Dub suspended, getting him banned from Twitter, this shit about an Xbox saying some wicked shit, about after a child died. It's fucked up. Now you got them trying to take Porter Rock down, and it's like it's almost like the Xbots, some of these so-called YouTubers that are Xbots are acting like fucking brats right now. It's just it's unreal. But that's another conversation. I don't want to get too far into that. We'll talk about that later. Let me keep on. Let me stay with the subject. And so I decided, I know Sick is live and I know One Stop is live. So I don't expect to have a lot of people in here watching, but I do appreciate those of you that are here. And I figured I had to go ahead and get this done now, in terms of giving my thoughts on this Sony not coming to E3, because if I wait until everybody else has their podcast and say how they feel about it, I probably wouldn't be able to get around to, giving my thoughts on it until Tuesday or Wednesday next week, which by then it'll be old news. So more or less, this podcast is for replay value. I'd like to think that, who once everybody gets done watching whoever it is they want to watch, they will come back to my podcast and get my thoughts on this E3. Like I said, I was at work. I was listening to Porter Rock's podcast when the news broke, and my first reaction was shock. And I was like, wow, what the hell is going on? And so I was like, all right, calm down. Let's think this thing out logically. E3 is supposed to, as Porter Rock said it, E3 is supposed to be the Super Bowl of game shows, excuse me. But truth be told, I don't think E3 has been that great the past few years. And I said this in our Google Hangout chat. I think that E3 is starting to turn more into a mobile games expo. It's starting to seem like, each year mobile games are starting to have a stronger presence at E3. And it was like, that was their featured show for E3 for EA, showing that Command and Conquer shit. They put that shit up on a big screen and had some commentators acting like it was a Super Bowl, to show a clip of a mobile game put on a big screen. That tells you that's E3 is like losing a lot of its pizzazz, So with that being said, I think each year E3 is going to be less and less important to some of these people. They're not having a huge shows, the big shows, like they used to. And it's gotten to the point where up until now, Microsoft and Sony's E3 was the only reason for even tuning in to see who was going to have the better E3 show. But now Microsoft's going to have the stage all to themselves. But this news that Sony is not going to be at E3 is bittersweet for me. It's bad because I hope that's not a sign that I was wrong, that the PS5 is going to come out in 2020, but I'm still sticking to my guns that it's coming out in November of 2019. And I think Sony's reasons for not coming to E3 next year ties into that. But the good part about Sony not coming to E3 is that now I don't have to set aside any time to watch E3. I'm not going to watch another E3 from EA where they show a bunch of mobile games. If Activision Blizzard is there to show their Diablo mobile game, I don't want to see that shit. I don't want to see Ubisoft's E3 because it's just going to be, a games as a service E3. Same thing with EA. Whatever shit they don't show that's mobile is going to be games as a service based. Truth be told, if Sony would have came to E3 next year, they might have been the only entity there where games as a service or mobile games may not have been their featured content. Yes, we know that they're, leading the mind share in terms of game streaming, but I still believe that the traditional console is still their focus, is still their bread and butter. So with Sony not being there, we know if Microsoft shows up, it's going to be it's basically going to be 100% Game Pass shit. And I'm just not going to sit there and watch them introduce a bunch of AA, bunch of indie, bunch of State of Decay type bullshit, because we know that's what those developers were brought in for. Now it is finally the worst kept secret. Everybody finally knows what I've been screaming for weeks, that Microsoft brought those guys in to make, bootleg games. And I'm not going to sit at an E3 and watch Phil Spencer, talk up all these garbage ass games that they got planned. I'm just not going to waste my time. And like I said, I'm not going to watch Ubisoft try to put on a service-based show, trying to sell season passes and shit. I'm not going to watch EA try to sell, EA Origin and try to sell mobile games. I sure as the fuck ain't going to watch Bethesda, because whatever they show you is going to be broken, because I guess that's their reputation. So no, so that is the good news about Sony not coming to E3. Now I have no reason to watch it. So whatever my plans are, I can continue on whatever my plans end up being on that day, because being that Sony won't be there, there's no reason for me to watch it. Now, people are speculating. Now, this is what's going to be the fun part, because this is breaking news that Sony's not going to be at E3. It is sweeping across YouTube like wildfire, sweeping across Twitter like wildfire right now as we speak. So it's going to be fun over the next couple of days listening to other YouTubers give their thoughts as to why Sony is not coming to E3. And I'm really curious to see how many of these YouTubers, how much of their theories match up with my own. It's listening to Sick. He didn't really, at the time that I was watching him, he didn't really give his opinion as to why, giving speculation or giving his thoughts as to why Sony's not going to be there. But he did present a couple of scenarios, that, might make you wonder. And, and One Stop even said it too. Bottom line is, both, Sick threw that possibility out there. One Stop believes it 100%. They think Sony's playing chess with Microsoft. They think Sony's deliberately pulling out of E3 and let Microsoft have the stage and let Microsoft reveal their hand. And then they're going to counter it with something. That did cross my mind. But I think I've eliminated that. That's J-Dog. That's the bottom line. I think Sony wants to have their own show on their own stage, because like Paris Games Week, when they showed the gameplay from all those games, the Spider-Man, the God of War, the Detroit Become Human, when they showed all that extended gameplay at Paris Games Week, that pretty much stole the thunder from underneath, the Xbox, because they were getting excited about the release of the Xbox One X, and they were starting to run their mouth about what they thought might be coming down the pipeline after this console launches, even though Microsoft showed them a bunch of indie bullshit at, the previous E3. And I think Sony, took the win out of this sales when they showed all that shit, when they showed the extended gameplay of, God of War, Spider-Man, Detroit Become Human. And And I think Sony, took notes from that and decided to have their own, and do this on their own stage, because Sony is flying so high right now that I think people look forward to their events more than they're looking forward to E3. I think their own events are going to be, draw more attention and more excitement and more anticipation than E3, especially with E3 going downhill the way it is. I said it before, it looks to me like E3 is starting to turn into a mobile games expo. As you guys can hear in the background, my fucking phone is blowing up. That is people, flying back and forth talking, about Sony pulling out of E3. So let me check a couple of things, see who's saying what. Okay. All right. So yeah, that's what's going on right now. Shit's flying back and forth across Twitter, across Google Hangouts. People still giving their thoughts on Sony pulling out of E3. And I think that's the bottom line. I think right now is Sony is getting ready. Craig Harris and Foxy Games have sources within the industry, and both Craig and Foxy pretty much said the same thing, that for the most part the PS5 is done. So I think what's going on right now is that Sony, got their hands full to try to get ready to roll out the PS5. I think there's a situation right now where it sounds to me like the PS5 is probably done, that Sony is just dotting I's and crossing T's. So I'm still sticking to my guns that the PS5 is going to come out in November of 2019, not to mention that this has been thrown around a couple of times, and J-Dub said it in our Roundtable podcast chat on Twitter that Sony's 25th anniversary, the PlayStation's 25th anniversary, is coming up next year. And it's also been speculated that Sony is also trying to time the release of the PS5 right around their 25th anniversary, to celebrate 25 years. That makes a lot of sense too. So if that's the case, Sony might have their hands full. Players United, what's up? If that's the case, Sony may have their hands full trying to get everything ready. It sounds like they've got a lot of exclusives in the works. We know they got projects going on for for the PlayStation 5, and it was just recently confirmed that I think Square Enix is working on an exclusive for the PS5. I think a Final Fantasy game. I'm not sure, but it's been confirmed that they're working on something. We know eventually Insomniac's going to be doing something if they, if they haven't already started working on the next Spider-Man game. They will be working on it soon, because it's been confirmed that there are going to be I think a couple of more Spider-Man games, and Insomniac is supposed to be doing them. So we know they getting back to work. So with all that being said, they got their exclusives being worked on. I'm sure there are some VR games being worked on for the next generation. And it sounds to me like, Sony's about ready to pull the PS5 out of the oven and put the frosting on it. So, from their standpoint, they may have a lot of things to do and not that much time to do it. So they probably decided to cut something out that they felt wasn't that important, that was going to impede the progress of them getting ready for the PS5. And, and I think that, to me, that makes perfect sense for them to skip E3 if they think it could disrupt the launch of the PS5. Because I'm sure a good amount of planning has to go into that. And what can they show without tipping their hand about the next generation? because we already know what's coming out for next year. We already know about The Last of Us, Death Stranding, all those games. And what more is there to show with those games? The only thing left for them to show is for what's coming up with the next generation. And I don't think Sony wants to show it yet. So with that being said, I think, like I said, I think they're finishing up. I think they're the PS5's in the oven. The timer's about to go off in about 5 minutes. They got the cake frosting ready. They're trying to clean up the kitchen, get all the dishes cleaned up and all that kind of shit. Because everybody's gonna be coming over at about 6 o'clock. So they gotta hurry up and get everything ready. That's what I think is going on with Sony right now. I think they just have, a lot of shit to do and just needed to cut out something that was gonna bog them down. And I think EA is losing a lot of its prestige. So why not cut that out? So truth be told, this past E3, I wasn't even so much interested in what Sony had to show. We knew what they had to show. We already knew the games that they had. And Sony even told people to temper their expectations. So I wasn't really sure I wanted to see the E3, but it wasn't something that I'll put it this way. I was more interested in seeing Microsoft's E3 than Sony's, because this was the do or die moment for Microsoft, because everybody threatened to walk off on them if they didn't show a roadmap, if they didn't show any compelling content. So I wanted to see how Microsoft was going to respond to that. And they bamboozled everybody. They showed everybody a bunch of third-party games, a mobile game, and your normal Gears, Forza, and Halo. So they took everybody for a ride, but they ate it up, And if that's the kind of shit they're going to show, shit, I'd rather Sony not even, don't even waste your time with E3. There ain't no competition. Nobody's going to put on a show that's going to rival Sony's anyway. So shit, why not? Shit, just skip it. Don't even bother with it. And that's the good news of it. With Sony not being there, there's no reason for me to watch E3 now. So with that being said, this is going to be a really short stream because, I got shit to do. I haven't even taken my normal power nap yet. Tony Briscoe, what's up? So sorry you're a little bit late, my man. I'm getting ready to wrap this up. But I wanted to hurry up and get this out real quick because a lot of people are giving their opinions on E3 right now about Sony not being there. And I think, I had to get this out right now, because if I waited until everybody else was done, I would have been able to get this podcast in until next week, which by then it would have been old news. So with that being said, I'm getting ready to shut this down in a few minutes. From there, I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to play some Spark and get some cardio in, or take a power nap and then get back up and play some Spark. Thug Nasty Lincoln, we have been hearing way too much about patents this and leak specs or that when it comes to Sony. And they ain't said shit or put a stop to any of it. This is just too damn odd, Okay, you said you'll check out the video later, but have a good one. All right, Tony Briscoe, you too. Thug Nasty. Between all that information that came out, not to mention past patterns between Sony and Microsoft, this is why I picked November of 2019. For the PS5 to release. Now, you remember about this time last year? No, take that back. I probably say next year. This past January, 2018 was about to get off to a hot start. You know, Monster Hunter World was coming out, and everybody was looking forward to the PlayStation exclusives that were coming out this year. The God of War, you know, Spider-Man, all that stuff. Everybody was looking forward to that stuff, and Microsoft tried to disrupt some of that hype by letting shit come out about developers that they were picking up and that kind of stuff. Too many leaks were coming out from Microsoft. And you can't tell me that many people turned red coat on Microsoft and just started blabbing. You know, Microsoft was letting some of that shit out. You know, they had to. Same thing here with the PS5. We think Sony's being tight-lipped about it, but I think they're letting some of this shit leak out. I mean, even if those, I think even if that leak about the specs was supposedly fake, don't you think it's a coincidence that all that information came out right around the time last weekend when Microsoft was about to have its XO? Doesn't that seem like a coincidence that whether these PS5 specs are real or fake, it's still a coincidence that it came out right around the time that Microsoft was having its XO. Sony pulls shit too. Sony calculates when they let information come out, and it is usually around the time when everybody starts to get hype about something that Microsoft is about to do. And then when they let their information out, then it takes the wind right out of Microsoft's sails. Go back to last year, right? I think everybody was getting hyped for Sea of Thieves. And then right around that time, I think we had got information about Shadow of the Colossus, the remake of it. Then everybody was supposedly right after that, everybody was starting to get hyped for State of Decay and was talking all kinds of shit about State of Decay. And then Sony broke their fucking backs when they gave us a date for God of War, because everybody was criticizing Sony for showing us all this shit, you know, but not having dates because the shit was always 2-3 years out, you know, whatever the case may be. And then when Sony gave that release date for God of War, and it happened to be right around the time that State of Decay was supposed to be coming out, they broke Microsoft's back with that shit. So again, this shit about I find that to be a coincidence that these supposed PS5 specs got leaked right on the weekend that Microsoft was supposed to have their XO. I find that to be a coincidence. Old man in the house in Lincoln, I mean, Robert McLeod, what's up, man? Hey, I'm the best looking old man you know. Hey, anybody call me old, y'all better pray y'all look like me when y'all get to be 51 years old. So I ain't gonna lie though, you know, I gotta work harder and harder, you know what I mean? Because you know, I do got a little bit of a a little bit of a belly down there that I'm trying to knock it down. You know, it's getting better though. Hey, Sick Humor. Thank you, sir. That's how you feel. Old man, huh? You know, Sick, hey, shouldn't you be doing a 19-hour podcast or something? I'm messing with you, man. You my dog, man. You my bro. Oh shit. But yeah, after I got over the initial shock, um you go for 24 hours. Oh god damn, man. Shit. At some point, man, I'm sure somebody gonna see you with your head tilted backwards and slob running out your mouth with a controller in your hand, because you're gonna be knocked out sooner or later. Your body gonna give out. You ain't gonna be able to do 24 hours. Hey, but shit. Robert McLeod, you said you turned 50 this year, so I might be old. Yeah, I say you old. Jemiah Dixon, I really think Sick gonna try it. Oh, dog. No, 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 no. Not the godfather, not the grandfather of gaming. Let's try the godfather of gaming. The Godfather. I like that. The ageless wonder. You know, that as far as that stream goes, I really do believe Sick is going to do it. But, you know, somebody once told me that once your body's ready to shut down, there's nothing you can do about it. So at some point, like I said, we're going to see his head tilted back on that chair. You know, we're going to see slob running out the side of his mouth like Homer Simpson, and he going to have a controller in his head. He going to, sooner or later, he going to crash. uh, Hey, you know, old dog, you know, actually I'm shocked to high hell that there's 31 people in here right now. You know, Sick was streaming, One Stop was streaming, Zaire was streaming. So I am pleasantly shocked by how many people are in here. Thank you very much, everybody. I really, really appreciate it. But for the most part, I made this stream for replay value because I didn't expect, you know, people to show up, you know, in here. So I was just doing it for replay value. You know, but I definitely appreciate it. Robert McLeod does this mean I'm the biker of gaming? What you got a bike, Robert McLeod? What kind of bike you got if you got one? Yeah, hit that like button. Hit that like button. I appreciate it, y'all. Robert McLeod, I used to have a crotch rocket. I had two of them, in fact. My very first motorcycle, if you're referring to that, you know, was a Katana 600, which it was a starter crotch rocket. You know, it was a good bike for a lot of people who's buying their first crotch rocket. But the bike didn't get a lot of respect with people, and they nicknamed it a can of tuna. And then my second bike, I went and got a real bike. You know, I bought a GSXR 750, which is a phenomenal bike that Suzuki made. And this bike was so dope that, you know, I had a 750 and I was beating 900s on it. So you plan on owning a Harley or old Indian? I still love crotch rockets now, but at my age, man, I don't plan on buying a bike again. But I hate to admit it, if I do get a bike, you know, it would probably be some kind of cruiser with a fat ass tire on the back, like a Fat Boy or something like that. I'd probably end up getting something like that if I ever got on one again. Jemiah Dixon, Microsoft better show every game they have in development at 2019 E3 or they are dead on arrival. Hey, but like, you know, like One Stop was saying, and just like Sick alluded to, maybe this is the chess move by Sony. You know, maybe they pulling out and watching Microsoft, you know, from across the street and see what they're going to do. So Sunset Overdrive is coming to PC and it's going to be announced tomorrow. Yeah, I don't have a PC, but I mean, but that's cool that, you know, I'm glad that Insomniac, you know, they get a second chance at life, you know, because the shit never had a chance on the Xbox. I don't care what they say about that game. I don't care how much they cry it was a good game. Whoop-de-whoop, that game never had a chance on Xbox. And I want to repeat to everybody that Five Nights at Freddy's is coming to PlayStation VR. It is coming to PS4 and Xbox One. And I am looking forward to playing it on the PlayStation VR. And I'm hoping this is the game that will bring me and my son even closer together on PlayStation VR. You know, he plays a lot of Gears of War, so I'm trying to pull him off of it. He plays the VR every now and then, but I'm hoping this is the game where, you know, he'll pick that VR up and won't put it down. Oh, dog. Microsoft is going to have a special event to announce that Sunset Overdrive is going to PC. I wouldn't be surprised by that. After that despicable shit that they stretched us out for 2 hours to show us all these rinky-dink ass games that was coming to Game Pass, why wouldn't they do something like that by, you know, having some kind of event to announce that Sunset Overdrive is going to PC? You said you got Robert McLeod. You have you got every facet of a biker except no bike, huh? Well, you know, whichever route you decide to go, man. You know, just be careful if you get a bike, man. I lost a few friends, and before I sold my crotch rocket, it sat in my brother's garage for a year and a half before I finally sold it. Spartan God, you said I'm right. What was I right about? You know, because I want to hear this. So why don't you stroke my ego? Tell me what I was right about. Jemiah Dixon, Sony not going to E3 is bigger than anything Microsoft announced in the last three. Hey, that is crazy. You are absolutely right, because this shit sent shockwaves through. You know that 2019 PS5 release revealed? Yeah. Hey, I hope it still happens within the next few months. Uncompetitive, what is going on? What is up with you? Sick. Some of the best times of my life I had on, when I was riding crotch rockets. And you was talking to Ace Sick. You was talking about back in your days how you was snatching women up and shit like that. Man, I was snatching up women off on that crotch rocket like you wouldn't believe. Dudes would come up into the club and they would pull up in the club driving their Navigators with 24-inch rims. They would pull up in there driving their Escalades with beats in there, blasting all that music and shit. And as soon as I pulled in that parking lot with my motorcycle, if they saw that I had a helmet on the back of that bike, man, I had girls running up to me wanting to go for a ride. Hey, there wasn't no point. Based on why I think Sony didn't go to E3, there's no point. I think Sony's got a lot on their plate right now trying to get ready for the PS5. I use the kitchen, analogy by saying that, the PS5 is in the oven. It's almost done. The timer's about to go off. Sony's mixing up the cake batter right now, getting ready to put that on the PS5. They got a big ass mess in the kitchen that they got to clean up because guests are going to be coming at about 6 o'clock. So they got a lot of shit to do, and they don't have time to, drop what they're doing and go to E3 and sit through all that bullshit. And I said it before that I think E3 is starting to turn into a mobile expo. Each year, mobile seems to have a stronger presence at E3. Mobile's taking over, like it or not. You got a bicycle, old dog, and uncompetitive. Bought Battlefield 5 and found I still had Black Ops 4 after Sony refunded it to me, so I downloaded it. Both are excellent. Well, you're one of the few who thinks they're excellent. Dreamcast guy and Randall Thor had some less than pleasant things to say about Battlefield 5. Dreamcast guy gave it a 4.5. Spartan God, Lincoln, 58 minutes ago, there was 421 YouTube channels live talking about Sony not going to E3. Not a surprise. And that's going to be the fun part about tomorrow. There's going to be so much shit for me to listen to tomorrow because everybody's giving their opinion as to why Sony pulled out of E3. So I'm sure there's going to be a wide variety of theories. So it's going to be fun to listen to this at work tomorrow. So work is going to, time is going to fly by tomorrow at work, listening to all these podcasts tomorrow. Xbox guys is still having podcasts talking about Sony announcement. That shit is crazy. See, I think I was hearing it on Porter Rock's podcast, and I think he was right, but I think by Sony not coming to E3, I think the Xbox are disillusioning themselves into believing that Sony's not coming because they don't have anything to show, which is a bad sign for Sony. They about to go bankrupt because they don't got any games to show. I mean, come on now. But I think the fact of the matter is, I think the Xbox are relieved. I think they are breathing out a giant sigh of relief that Sony is not coming to E3 because they don't have to watch the reveal of the PS5. They don't have to watch the reveal of the compelling exclusives that are going to launch with the PS5. They do not have to watch the reveal of the PSVR 2 and the games is going to come along with it. Worse yet, If Sony would elected to do that, they wouldn't have to listen to Sony say it's going to sell for $400, even though I think it's going to sell for $500. But if Sony would have got up on that stage at next year's E3 and announced the PS5 launching at $500, every Xbot in that building would have needed a caged inserted onto their spines, because every one of them in there would have had a broken back. Jemiah Addiction, more pressure is on Microsoft to deliver. I absolutely agree. And that might have been a calculated move by Sony not to show up there, to put the pressure on Microsoft. Sony might have said, hey, you always comparing yourself to me, always acting like you got the better shit. Here, you take the stage and show everybody what you got. Spartan God, Rockstar left, Activision left, Valve doesn't show up at conferences anymore, Nintendo left, and now Sony left. It was becoming less and less relevant. Truth be told, I do not think the way things are looking right now, I don't, to me, it seems like maybe like Paris Games Week has just as much pizzazz as E3, if not more. I just don't think, the E3 is at the top of the heap anymore when it comes to these game expos. And then, as I was saying, each year, the mobile presence is getting stronger and stronger. I don't want to watch E3 to watch people. I don't want to watch EA or Activision Blizzard show a fucking mobile game. I don't want to watch EA or Ubisoft, and Microsoft for that matter, talk about their games as a service, about their subscriptions. I don't want to watch an E3 show talking about season passes for games that's been out for like 4 years and they still pushing season passes on this shit. I don't want to see that. You said Xbox cheering, Sony has nothing. All right, let them keep thinking that. That's the one thing I love, when somebody beats me and they start talking shit, then I go back to the lab and start practicing and start working on shit. And then the next time I run into that person and they start talking a yap about what they're going to do to me, I don't say nothing. I just shrug my shoulders like, okay. But on the inside, I'm like, I'm going to kill this motherfucker, because he don't know he angered the gods. I'm about to tear this motherfucker up, so let him go ahead and cheer. And then when Sony come out and drop that bomb, and they finally reveal the PS5, the specs, the VR, the content that they have coming for both of those, these Xbots might, instantly pull out sleeping pills and try to kill themselves right where they stand. You said Sony get on your nerves sometimes, Spartan guy. Why? And Robert McLeod, you said, what I'm figuring why Sony canceled E3 is Sony can have a huge event to show off PS5 and other things. Exactly. I think they wanted to have their own stage to reveal the PS5. All eyes are on Sony right now, whether people like them or not like them. They got all the games. And it's not so much about, in my opinion, it's not for the Xbox. It's not so much about the reveal of the PS5. They know that when the PS5 reveals, there's going to be compelling exclusives coming out with the console. The way they try to say that the Sony ponies was scared because the Xbox One X is coming, they scared because the PS5 is coming. Not because the PS5 is coming, but the exclusives that's going to come with the PS5. They scared the way they try to say the ponies was scared. That's why they cheering, because they don't have to watch that shit. They don't have to catch one on, they don't have to take one on the chin right there at E3. They don't have to be in that room, to get their jaw broken after they saw what Sony would have presented to them. That's why they jumping up and down. Samuel, you said, what about a special 25th year anniversary event that announces the PS5 future games coming to it? That's also been speculated too, that Sony is looking to time the release of the PS5 with the upcoming 25th anniversary. I think that's very well possible. It could all tie together. To November of 2019 sounds like the perfect time to release that console, because you got the hardcore people like me that's going to buy it first. Then you got the second wave of people that's going to buy it. That would be the Christmas shoppers. And then what better stage to show that shit than a 25th anniversary celebration? And who's to say that Sony won't have limited edition PS5s ready to go for the 25th anniversary? You said there are over 400 channels live talking about YouTube. See, I think One Stop said it best. Sony had them dudes shook up. You know, Sony had them shook because this is huge news. Dog. See, the problem is people don't understand that Sony always 3-step ahead of the competition. I agree. You know, when Microsoft, when all the Xbox was sitting there thinking that Sony didn't have any plans for the arrival of the Xbox One X and thought the ponies was scared of shit like that, Sony kept on letting them, let the extended gameplay of their upcoming exclusives coming out, and every time they did, it took the shine away from Microsoft. All the Xbox was getting excited about the release of the Xbox One X coming, along with PUBG coming to the Xbox platform. But Sony squashed all that shit, squashed all that hype with the Paris Game Show, when they revealed all that shit at the Paris Game Show last year. The motherfuckers was getting hyped for Sea of Thieves. Sony squashed that with information and gameplay about Shadow of the Colossus. They was getting hyped about State of Decay, and Sony broke their fucking backs with a release date, for God of War. They hadn't recovered from that broken back, and Sony stepped in and broke a couple of more vertebrae with a Spider-Man release date. Robert McLeod, PlayStation fans ain't scared of that shit. That's just like the Xbox just, on some make-believe shit, wanting people to believe that they scared. When the fact of the matter is, what the Xbox is doing right now? This shit almost starting to sound like, a fight after school with a dude that's bigger than you. You scared of that motherfucker. You do not want to fight him, but you don't want to look like a bitch. So you're going to go ahead and show up to meet this dude to fight him after school. Well, something happened and the dude decided, he couldn't make it to whoop your ass after school. He had to go take care of some shit. And now you beating your chest saying that he was scared. That's the way the Xbox sound right now. They absolutely ridiculous. You said, well, you wonder what Microsoft is thinking right now? They dumb as fuck. Microsoft is dumb as fuck. One Stop thinks that Microsoft has been revealing their hands once too many times, and he thinks that's one of the reasons why Sony always came out on top. But I hate to admit it, if Microsoft should decide to cancel their E3, there won't be an E3. If Activision Blizzard shows up to E3, it'll be an empty hall. Nobody's going to come there, not after what they just did. EA shows up to E3. What are they going to do? Show us Command and Conquer Part 2 on a mobile? Give us more information about EA Access. Not to mention that anybody that would be there will be looking at it with one eyebrow raised, wondering what kind of microtransactions they're going to put in their shit. I wouldn't want to be there to listen to Ubisoft talk about season passes. Mr. Pyle, congrats on the prediction. Only one that was 100% on point. Thank you, my man. Spartan guy said Lincoln got no chill. I'm surprised some of y'all. Remember that I said I wouldn't be surprised if Sony go ahead and cancels the E3. I mean, I think at the time that I said it, I didn't think they would, but my thinking was that if they did cancel it, it wouldn't be a bad move. Danny Ruiz, what is up? You know one thing, Pio, when you look for things, you see it. When you don't look for things, you don't see it. Unless it drops right in front of you. If I'm not looking for something, I don't see it. If it drops right in front of me and I see it, that means everybody else saw it too. Pyle, you said imagine if they drop all their exclusives next year and then PS5 2020. I talked about this too. I still think they're going to go with November 2019. I said this before. You got the first wave of buyers, which would be me. You got the second wave of buyers, Christmas shoppers, who they are probably going to be targeting. You have Sony's 25th anniversary coming up next year, which they could release. They could release the PS5 to coincide with the 25th anniversary. I think that's a strong possibility. Not to mention that if they price this console at $500, they know it's not going to get off to a super hot start. It's going to take some time to build up some momentum. So I think what Sony is going to want to happen is I think they want the PS5 to ascend right at the same time that the PS4 starts to decline. I think they want those two physical movements to happen simultaneously, because if Sony waits until the PS4 completely dries up and then rolls out the PS5, there's going to be a gap between the time that the PS4 completely drops off to when the PS5 starts to pick up. I think you want these things to happen simultaneously so there's no gap. So by the time the PS4 completely dies out, then the PS5 will be hitting its stride and they'll never miss a beat. Danny Rules, you can't wait for the VR next generation. Absolutely. That is a highlight right there. And I was thinking, while we're on the subject of VR, I was thinking about something while I was at work. Imagine if Microsoft would have followed through with VR. Imagine if they would have followed through with VR and the normal boring ass exclusives that they give us, the normal Gears, Forza, and Halo. Imagine if they would have put those on VR. Imagine being able to play Gears of War in VR, or Halo in VR, or Forza in VR. That was my only reason why I was even remotely interested in buying an Xbox One X. And if Microsoft would have followed through with that, I might have bought the Xbox One X despite my disdain for them. Because even if they did not provide any content, third-party developers would have provided content for their platform, because the more platforms there are out there for VR, the more opportunities there are for developers. So if they would have followed through with it, it would have been another opportunity for developers. And if Microsoft would have took it to the next level and played, and put Gears, Forza, and Halo on VR, I'm not gonna lie, I would have been highly interested in it. Jemiah Dixon, you think no E3 means PS5 is coming next year, like Lincoln said? Thank you, Jemiah. I really appreciate it. Lincoln, do you think the frame rate for the new VR is going to be more than 60 frames per second? Absolutely. Craig Harris has already confirmed it. You know, his source Lou Wafa, you know, an insider has said that they already have games on the next iteration of the VR for PlayStation running at 240 frames per second. And then you saw the patent for Sony where they had two VR headsets wirelessly connected to a base, which I'm assuming is the PS5. So based on that patent, it looks like the next iteration of the VR is going to be wireless, and you're going to be able to connect two VR headsets to one PS5, which is going to make for an amazing experience. Also, it is rumored that this VR headset is going to have an inside out feature where basically you can, hit a button and you can see it as if you're looking through glasses. You can see the outside world, so you don't have to take the headset off to see what's going on, which I think would be a neat feature. And it had been confirmed by PSVR Frank a while ago that a Japanese company is working on the lens for the next iteration of the PlayStation VR, which is better than anything that's out there right now. And I've already sampled Vive, and it's pretty clear, compared to the PlayStation VR. So that means that, the PSVR 2 is going to be very clean. So, you said Spartan God. If it doesn't come out next year, y'all owe me $50. If it does, y'all owe me 4K $50. What the hell is that? Hey, give me a second, y'all, because I got the oven turned on. That's that ghetto heat. When the furnace ain't doing enough, you turn on the oven in the kitchen. It's starting to get hot in the motherfucker in here. Hold on, I gotta go turn that shit off. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. Another thing that supports my theory why Sony is just not interested in showing up to E3 is Ryan the Professional in one of his latest videos confirmed that Death Stranding is done. Before that, Young Yeah had confirmed that they had already finished recording. And now, Ryan the Professional is saying that the game is done. So they could have even showed up to E3 just to make an announcement to give a date on Death Stranding. I would like to think that The Last of Us is far enough along that they could have, given a date. We got a date for Days Gone. And they probably could have came there to give us a date for Ghost of Tsushima. Not to mention that they could have showed up, because I think that I forgot what the name of that other damn exclusive is that Sony's supposed to be working on. Is kind of low. Not to mention rumors about a Bloodborne 2 and shit like that. So Sony could have came there with something. One of the rumors that, when Porter Rock read that article from The Verge about Sony not being at E3, they said that Sony might not be there at all. So to me, they could come there with some kind of information. Yeah, you said they gave the God of War release date at the Super Bowl, so you never know. Agreed. If people think Sony isn't going to release any first games next year, then they're dumb as fuck. I agree. Uncompetitive. Inside Out means the headset tracks the controllers to be released later in the year. Launch. Same. Okay. Yeah. So please forgive me for getting the definition of Inside Out mixed up. But but what I meant was the feature that allows them to, still be able to see the outside world without having to take the headset off. Guy code that crossed my mind too. That maybe they're saving everything for PSX, especially not PSX this year, maybe PSX next year. They could be saving something for Paris Games. They could be saving something for Paris Games Week next year. I mean, face it, Sony damn near got the whole world on lockdown as far as console gaming goes. I don't think there's a region out there where Sony doesn't have a presence. They're the number one console right now, and they're getting ready for the next generation. So it's just a couple of things. I just don't think Sony's ready to show their hand. I don't think they want to show their hand at E3. I think E3 is not that important to them. Excuse me. And I think they want to do this at their own event where they can shine. Uncompetitive. Everything is as I predicted it. I said PSVR 2 would have twin stereoscopic cameras built into the headset for augmented reality and checking your surroundings. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. Truth be told, excuse me. Truth be told, if there was no VR coming for the next generation, I wouldn't really care when Sony would release the PS5, because I'm more than satisfied with my PS4 Pro. So I wouldn't be in all that big of a hurry for the PS5 to hurry up and get released. But because of the VR aspect of it, I want it as soon as possible. I want it yesterday. Yep, the future is here. So I've been on a little bit over an hour now, and I went a little bit past my bedtime in terms of how long I said I was going to be on. But I need to take care of some things. I need to hurry up and get some shit cleared out of the way, because I want to go. I want a game. I want to play something tonight. I want to stream something tonight. I don't know what it'll be. Tetris, GT Sport, who knows? Let me read a couple of more comments before I get ready to head on out of here, though. Spartan God, hold up. Does anyone find it fishy Sony announced this news about no E3 2019 on the PS4 5th birthday, which is today? Hey, hey, that is interesting. But didn't I also say that last weekend when Microsoft was getting ready for their XO? Isn't that a coincidence that those supposed PS5 specs leaked, whether it was fake or not? Players United, PlayStation 4 5th anniversary starts the numbers over 80, states the numbers over 86.1 million units sold and shipped, over 779 million software units sold, and 11 major system updates. Hey, they got shit on lockdown, like it or not. Mr. Pyle, X gonna give it to you. X gonna give it to you. Spartan God, they definitely stirred the motherfucking pot with this E3 announcement. They stirred the pot. That the buzz right now, the buzz, the theories, what everybody's thinking. So in addition to getting the shit done that I need to get done tonight and wanting to play some games, I still want to watch some YouTube videos too to see what other YouTubers think. You said, Sayers, you wonder what Digital Foundry will have to say about those fake PS5 specs? Who's to say that those specs are fake? We haven't gotten any speculation from Sony. We haven't gotten anywhere from Sony whether those specs are real or fake. I'd said it before. I'm not terrible. You know, I don't really know shit about computers. But I would still imagine to be able to run 2 VR headsets wirelessly simultaneously off the same console with games pushing 240 frames per second in possible 4K, it is going to take a substantial amount of power. You know, for that to happen. With that being said, those specs that were supposedly fake, I wouldn't be terribly surprised if the real specs aren't too far away from that. Pio, Lincoln predicted launch date Lincoln predict launch PS5 date. I need to know. All I can tell you is November 2019. If you want me to put like an exact date on it, just a minute. Hold on, let me check the calendar real quick. So now my son blowing me up. That's another reason why I got to get ready to go. My son blowing me up. Chances are he wants to play Gears. He wants to play Gears, and I'll do that again. Everybody, here, let me type my mixer in there because I do stream. You know, when I play Gears of War with my son, I do stream that sometimes. So here we go. Okay, that is my mixer right there. Now notice, see where that O is? That is actually a 0. That is not an O. All capital letters except for where the O is at. That's actually a 0. Because if I would have done the name in small letters, then that O would have looked really tall above all the other letters. So I did it all in caps. So it makes the 0 look like an O. You said Players United. You said Thrash is going to stream next. Well, I'll be checking that out. That's all the more reason for me to get ready to pack it up. Saris is great. Did you see that PSVR 2 video that showed the built-in fan? No, I didn't know such a video existed. And uncompetitive, the specs are exactly as I predicted they would be over a year ago based on the new iMac Pro. This is all I care about. I don't care how much power they put in that PS5. All I care about is that they put enough power into that PS5 to make that VR run right. I wanted to be a situation where the developers almost don't have any limitations. I wanted to be a situation like that where the developers are not limited by the hardware. They're only limited by their imagination or only limited by whether they think there's a market for what they have in mind. And I think if the PS5 is going to have that kind of power, those kind of specs for the VR aspect of it, I think the sky's the limit. You know, I'm salivating just think about, you know, slobbing at the mouth, just thinking about how they could possibly do like MLB The Show in VR. You know, I speculated that maybe a Killzone could launch, you know, in VR. You know, uncompetitive. You think it will be amazeballs, but I told Sick Humor that it will be Sony's last console. Well, I definitely believe more so than Sony's that the Scarlet is going to be Microsoft's last console. I believe that more so than Sony. But being that Microsoft is going in a totally different direction, and the next generation to me looks like it could be a repeat of this generation, then Microsoft ain't going to be any competition to Sony. So the PS5, they can stretch that out as long as they want. But I think Sony's got their foot on Microsoft's neck. And I don't think they plan on taking their foot off Microsoft's neck anytime soon. So I think Sony's going to be constantly pumping out those exclusives like they said they were. They're doubling down on, on VR to bring bigger and better experiences. So I really can't wait for that. And I think Sony, when it comes to games, is staying ahead of Microsoft. For all these so-called one and done games, they're all doing great considering that they are single games, they're single player games, and they're on one platform. I think those games are doing phenomenal, with that, all things considered. All right, Jemiah, we'll catch you later. And uncompetitive, you think Microsoft is flat out lying about making a disc-based console? I said it before in my last podcast that One Stop for Gamers he's taking it a step further. He doesn't think Microsoft is making a Scarlet at all. I think when he said that, I think he might have meant the traditional console. I think he meant that Microsoft isn't making a traditional console next generation, that is going to be strictly the streaming console, which I can believe. Because I said it before, the cat is out of the bag now. Everybody finally knows what I've been screaming for weeks, that Microsoft picked up all these B-class bootleg developers. And there's no way, in my opinion, that they're going to spend billions of dollars developing a console to produce AA type games. It doesn't make sense. That would be like building a Ferrari to put it on a street full of potholes. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, whether it's I agree with you, uncompetitive. The traditional console, by that not having a disc, that helps you take Microsoft. That helps you take you in the direction that Microsoft wants you to go by either going, full blown digital or streaming, which I don't think the traditional console is going to be able to stream it all. I really don't know, because I find that ironic that Microsoft needs to make two consoles to do two different things when the PlayStation 4 already does them. The PlayStation 4 is already a traditional console that streams. Why does Microsoft need to make two different consoles for that? You say, Players United, more than 20 plus skipping Sony E3 19 YouTube videos. Not surprising. Not surprising. And Guy Code, you said all you know is that Anthem's customization looks lit as fuck. A Guy Code already said that. There isn't any might to it. Concrete, I'm not watching E3 next year because it's going to be a bunch of bullshit now that Sony's not there. You're going to have Microsoft put on another lame-ass Inside Xbox type show promoting games, Game Pass, with a bunch of indie games and AA games that they're going to be advertising for the next, year coming up. You're going to have Ubisoft trying to find a way to push this season, this season passes. You're going to have EA advertising mobile games, as well as, trying to sell EA access. In Bethesda, now they done jumped onto this games as a service shit by releasing that broke ass Fallout 76 that has to be online, 24/7. And then after that shit that Activision Blizzard just pulled with that Diablo shit, if they show up to E3, they're going to be talking to an empty room. With that being said, no, I don't have any interest in watching E3 next year now that Sony's out of it. And there's a part of me that's glad they're not going to be at E3. You know, Guy Code, I don't know if you heard me earlier or not, but I said the way the Xbots are acting about Sony not coming to E3, like I said, they acting like that scared ass nerd that was about to get his ass beat by the bully after school. You know, the bully was telling him, "I'm gonna beat your ass after school," and that nerd scared he gonna get his ass whooped, but he knows he gotta show up so everybody don't call him a bitch. But then something happened and the bully wasn't able to make it. The dude had to go home. The bully had to go do something. So now this nerd is beating his chest talking about the bully was scared of him. That's how the Xbots are acting. They were scared to death of Sony at E3. Now that Sony ain't showing up, you know, it sounds like they beating their chest acting like Sony was scared of what Microsoft was going to do to them. Get the fuck out of here with that. That's Macy. What's up? Said I need a crystal ball because I called it. Hey, thanks everybody. Thanks so much for acknowledging that. You said if they stay quiet to make that PS5 launch great, then it's worth the silence. I agree. But that's the whole fun of this shit. That's the whole fun of this shit is listening to what everybody thinks. Now, people like Crap Gamer and Code Eastwood, um, you know, I kind of no, there's no comment, there's no kind of to it. You know, I like hit the not interested shit. So their videos don't show up in my suggested videos feed on YouTube because I have no interest in hearing what they got to say. But I'm sure that somebody is going to trickle it back to me what they got to say about Sony not being at E3. And it'll be interesting to see if they try to mislead everybody into thinking that Sony didn't come because they were scared of Microsoft. Yeah, that's Misi. They, you know, that's a story for another day about how ignorant the Xbots are. Because I had a comparison that I definitely wanted to make about, you know, what type of people they are, but that's for another day. Hey, Robert McLeod, I see that you followed me on Twitter. Thank you very much. So let me see here. Okay. Oh shit. Damn, I wish I could hold on. Let me go to Twitter and see if I can and share my screen with you and show you guys what J Dub posted. All right, I'm gonna show you guys what J Dub posted on Twitter. Oh my god, this is hilarious. Let me share my screen with y'all. Oh shit, that's rich. Oh my goodness. Feast your eyes on that because I'm about to shut the screen share down here in a couple of seconds. But I just want to give you guys a quick second to look at that. Oh my God, that is hilarious. Oh. Hey, that was savage, guy code. And Robert McLeod, you said not that I had a choice. My other account got banned for 11 hours. God damn. Ah, oh my goodness. Yeah, like I said, this man, it's 8 o'clock already. This night is flying by. Just like that, I'm about to get my ass up and go to work again. But let me go ahead and shut this stream down. I've been on for almost an hour and a half. Um, you made an Xbox salty, Robert McLeod? All right. You said this is the textbook definition of fake news. It was still hilarious. Xbox promises there are a lot to share at E3 next year. Phil Spencer gonna jump up there and say Sony's not here. That's what he's gonna share with him. Mike Johnson, Sony is making Microsoft and Nintendo and others prove what they can do by Sony not showing up. By not showing will show how relevant, the other game companies Sony brings crowds. Yeah. E3 ain't even here yet, but the shit done sent shockwaves throughout the YouTube community and through Twitter by them not making the announcement that they're not going to be there. That shit done caused a seismic shift right now. So, all right, folks, I'm out of here. Thanks for checking it out. I'm like I said, I'm running way behind schedule in terms of shit that I need to get done around here. I'm going to try my best to get it done. I'm not sure, but for those of you that saw my Mixer in there, make sure you add me on Mixer. And if I'm going to talk to my son in a little bit. And if he wants to play Gears of War, then I'm going to have to play some Gears of War with him because I promised him a couple of nights ago I'd play with him this week. So I got to tend to that too. So thanks for watching, everybody. Give it a like. Lock the door on your way out. And I'd like to thank everybody for coming to the Wakandan E3. I will holler at y'all later.